the 6.5 PRC. Now there's a cartridge you probably don't need, but you probably want, because the 6.5 PRC is what I consider the 21st century's version of the 270 Winchester. And we're going to explain why on this episode of Ron Spomer Outdoors. Now, before we go any farther, I've got exciting news. We have launched RSO TV. Now, on RSO TV, we upload original content weekly. These videos include longer cuts of what you see here, plus in-depth gun reviews, reloading, hunting, and exclusive tutorials not available on YouTube. We currently have over 30 videos for you to view, with more on the way. Signing up is easy. It's $5 a month. You get access to all the videos on RSO TV. Plus, anyone at Tier 3 or above in our Patreon community gets free access to RSO TV. So, visit rsotv.com and get started today. So, this is the 6.5 PRC, that chunky little guy, and that long, slim beauty is the 270 Winchester. Why do I consider those two to be about the same? Well, because they produce just about the same ballistic performance. But before we get into that, I would like to emphasize another great book. Boy, if you haven't read this one yet, you are in for a treat. Empire of the Summer Moon really caught me off guard and by surprise, because I had no idea the Comanche tribe was this powerful and adept. They had pretty much ruled their part of southwest Texas for about 250 years. The most fearsome tribe out there, experienced horsemen. I mean, it's just a fascinating story. And it involves how they were finally defeated with the help of Sam Colt and his revolver. This is just fascinating history. You want to read this book if you get a chance. The Comanches were really the horsemen of the plains, and this is an outdoor story of the American West you don't want to miss. Now, we are in the modern American West, and we like to hunt here with our 270s and similar cartridges. So I thought I would compare what I consider the modern 270, that 6.5 PRC. So why do I think this short, fat, stubby 6.5 PRC should be compared to the 270 Winchester? Well, because they both produce almost identical ballistic performance. And that, for me, is a reason to compare cartridges. I don't care if this one is a long action and this one is a short. When you're considering cartridges for deer hunting, elk hunting, you want to know what that bullet is going to be doing. And these two are remarkably close, even though one's an old timer and one's pretty much a baby. So let's talk about these two cartridges and just figure out where they came from and what they're doing. I think I'll start with the PRC. This is a hot new property because it's a 6.5. Everybody's crazy about the 6.5s because of, ta-da, yeah, love to hate it, the 6.5 Creedmoor. The Creedmoor, I think we really need to give it its due because it has fired up the rifle shooting community like no other cartridge. You know, we were hunters and we did a little bit of target shooting, but when that thing came on and this PRS style shooting and the steel gongs at long range and all that, that increased interest in rifles and riflery and shooting and how it's all done. And the 6.5 Creedmoor is what did it. You know, it might not be any better than the 6.5 by 55 Swede or the 260 Remington or any of the other ones, but by golly, it made things popular. And anytime we get more interest in shooting, it helps all of us who love to hunt and shoot. We're going to have more options. We're going to have better quality in our ammunition, as well as our firearms and our scopes and our laser rangefinders, and in all of it. It just kind of snowballed thanks to that little guy. Now, why would you want to move up then to what I call maybe the 6.5 Creedmoor Magnum, the PRC? I'm glad they didn't use that name, by the way. But it is essentially a Magnum because it shoots about 200 to 300 feet per second faster than the Creedmoor. So why do we suddenly have this one? They're both short actions. Well, because this one, as good as it is for target shooting, isn't necessarily optimal for big game hunting. just doesn't quite have what we would consider enough power and energy and stuff. Although there have been plenty of elk and moose and deer taken with it, I just think most of us feel like, over the years, that 270 performance is what we assume to be just about right for deer and pretty good for elk as well. And that's what the PRC gives us. By adding that 200 to 300 feet per second to the same bullets as that Creedmoor shoots, you're getting performance close to this guy. And we're going to look at the numbers here in a bit. But before we do that, a little history on these guys. This thing came out in 2018. George Gardner of GA Precision came up with the idea, and he proposed it to Hornady, and they said at the time, I think it was about 2013 when he first proposed it, they were so busy with other projects, especially the Creedmoor, that was really taking off, that they just really didn't have time to develop this one. So a few years later, they did. I think it was around 2017, and they released it, if I remember, at the 2018 SHOT Show. PRC, and it was like, yeah, okay, another 6.5. Good grief, they're coming out of the woodwork. Everybody makes them in every size you can imagine. But I think what most of us at first blush didn't realize is that it's not just a slight improvement over the Creedmoor. It's a significant jump up to the performance of the 270 Winchester. And that, when you think about it, is a big deal. Because that 270 Winchester, even though it only came out in 1925, so it's getting pretty close to 100 years old, it still performs beautifully like it always has. And it'll shoot a 150 grain bullet up to around 2,900 feet per second, especially with modern powders. Now, the PRC is doing just about the same. You're going to get 2,900 feet per second with a 150 grain bullet. And I've seen some recipes in the hand loading manuals suggesting it'll go to 3,000. So it might have a little bit of a speed advantage over the 270. But when we get to our ballistic charts here, we're going to look at some numbers, and they are remarkably close. So, of course, the 270 Winchester was an evolution of the 30-06, which was an evolution of the 303 military cartridge. So it's a standard length or long action, and it's a bit skinnier. This is a fat guy. It's 0.530 diameter on the case body, and that's where it gets its powder volume. These two have almost exactly the same powder volume. 60 to 61 grains of most of the powders we shoot in them these days for pushing heavier bullets. What bullets are those? Well, that 270, you can get down to a 90 grain hollow point bullet. I've shot those and shot them beautifully through a Ruger M77 I had years ago. Those were Sierra hollow points, great little antelope and coyote load. And then you can get up to 150 grain. And there are some 160 grain round nose bullets in the 270. That 1 in 10 twist on a 270 barrel will stabilize that big, long 160 grain bullet because it's a round nose. Doesn't have a boat tail, doesn't have a sleek point, so it's a little bit shorter than your 160 might suggest. You go to the long, sleek type bullets, the high BC bullets of the day, and that's not going to work in the 270. It will in the 6.5 because that is built with a 1 in 8 inch twist barrel. Big difference. So you're pushing the envelope with about 150 to 155 grain bullet in the 6.5s. I think Berger might have a 157, I think I saw once, an extreme outer limits bullet, and that's getting your BCs up there like 0.630 or maybe a slightly higher than that. Really high BCs. Whereas the 270 with a 150 grain bullet, you can make that long boat tail and a long sleek point on the nose there. Your ogive can be about as flat as you want to make it, and you're still not probably going to break 600. But for now, those are your 270s to consider for hunting. The modern one, the PRC, or the good old-fashioned one. If you like tradition and older rifles with a lot of panache and class, you might want to consider the 270. Everybody still loads for that guy. It's not going anywhere. But if you like the cutting-edge stuff, 6.5 PRC might be one you want to consider. Well, this is Ron Spomer, and again, I thank you for tuning in and watching us. I do invite you to subscribe to the channel. We did a little peek the other day, and it turns out that only about 20% of the folks who watch our videos are actually subscribed to the channel. So here's a big chance for you to jump on board. And, Covey's here to say hi, too. Covey, everybody says they like you better than me, and I can understand why. So you should probably move those boxes out of the way and say hi to everybody, huh? Yeah, the nose. The nose knows. Okay, we'll go outside and have some fun. Too much time in the house for this dog. Me too. Hey, Ron Spomer, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for joining us. And if there's anything you'd like us to cover, just send a note in there in the comment section and we'll see if we can't get to it. The whole idea here is to provide some information that benefits you, and we appreciate the support. As usual, hunt honest and shoot straight.